So I'm sure most of you, at least the people who care to know, have already heard the news that Henry Cavill is returning as Superman. After 5 years away from the role, after the release of the Snyder Cut, years after the original release of Justice League, Henry Cavill makes a cameo appearance at the end of Black Adam. And then shortly after that, once everyone has had a chance to see it, at least a week or so to see Black Adam, the announcement comes out. Henry Cavill puts out a video announcing that he will be returning in the future for sequels or crossovers or what have you as the Man of Steel. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that I wasn't a super massive fan of the DCEU. It actually took revisiting it here in the last couple of years for me to really appreciate what Zack Snyder did with those first couple films, and then we finally got to see what he did with Justice League, which blew me away. I absolutely love the Snyder Cut of Justice League. And, have went back several times in the last couple of years and revisited Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and I kind of fell in love with these stories and appreciated. At first, I think I didn't care for the super dark take on everything and the fact that Superman killed someone in the first film and that's not like Superman. I don't know, it just didn't do it for me in the way that the MCU films did. But after having, so many years of MCU films, I started to appreciate that the DCEU was a different feel. And that I didn't want the DC movie universe to feel exactly like the Marvel universe. That's why I think I would be upset if Disney ever acquired Warner Brothers, or even DC, the DC portion of Warner Brothers. If they were all under one umbrella, how cool would it be to see a DC Marvel crossover? Something reminiscent of the 90s comic book crossover from my childhood. But if that meant they're all under one umbrella, I think I'd have to go without. I think I would just opt to go without, because I love that they feel so different. I really do. I have come to appreciate that over time. And Henry Cavill and Man of Steel, which kicked off that world, is a huge part of that. Now, I know a lot of people don't really care for that Man of Steel film. Revisiting it, like I said, a couple times in the last few years, man, I appreciate that film. And Henry Cavill as Superman. I love him as Superman. I really do. He might be my favorite person to ever don the cape. And that includes classics, Christopher Reeve, everything we've seen. Dean Cain. Although I do really enjoy the portrayal of Superman in Superman and Lois. That is still quite a different take on the character, the family man Clark. But anyway, Henry Cavill's back, man. Henry Cavill is returning to the role. And not only that, he also announced this week that he's no longer going to be doing The Witcher after this next season, season 3, is released. Season 4 will not be starring Henry Cavill, which is, it's kind of a bummer, because I really enjoyed The Witcher as well. And I'm sure I'll enjoy season 3 when it comes out. But he announced also that he is passing the torch onto Liam Hemsworth. So another Hemsworth brother gets to take on kind of a larger-than-life hero role. And I dig it, man. I dig it. I dig that, not that Henry Cavill's leaving, but that it's Liam Hemsworth taking on the role. And that the way that Henry Cavill passed the torch on, and I just enjoy it. And I enjoy how much Henry Cavill I enjoy his reverence for the characters that he plays. Like, he really loves The Witcher. He really loves Clark Kent, Superman, and is very invested in the portrayal of these characters. Like, it means a lot to him, and you can tell. Like, he wanted to come back as Superman. It wasn't like, oh yeah, if the pay's right, they can get me back. No, it was never like that. It was like he fought for it. Like, he talked about how much love he had for the role and how much he enjoyed, the fans and he wanted to be Superman. Like, I almost feel like he felt like he was born to play Superman, and looking at the guy and seeing him don the Superman emblem and the Superman cape, it's kind of hard to argue with, man. Like, the guy, to me, looks like Superman. So I'm just happy to see him back. I don't know what this means for the Snyderverse, because, that was a big part of the Snyderverse. Like, him being Superman is a big part of that. It's like, it'd be like saying, oh, Ben Affleck is back as Batman. Which, fuck, I would love that too. I would love that. I love Ben Affleck's Batman. So I would love for them to keep that Snyderverse alive, and I was kind of, especially after seeing the Snyder cut of Justice League, I was very upset that we wouldn't get to see that world as it was any longer. And maybe this is the start of that, Maybe it is. Maybe the whole release the Snyder Cut campaign, which finally got that to be and to exist, and then following that, the Restore the Snyderverse campaign, maybe it'll pay off too, man. And I'm not usually a fan of fans dictating what happens, but in this case, man, were fans right about the Snyder Cut. And I have a feeling they would be right about the Snyderverse in general as well. And, they announced that after the Snyder Cut was released and everyone was, like, so pumped about it, they made it very clear, the heads over at Warner Brothers made it very clear that the Snyderverse would not be continuing. It's like, we're glad you enjoyed it, but, that is it. That's the final hurrah for Zack Snyder's DC universe. But, I think since then, I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers has come under two different companies since then. So two different people calling the shots over there. And who knows? Who knows what could end up happening, man? But I say restore it, man. I say restore the Snyderverse. But even if we don't get that, I'm just happy to see Henry Cavill return as Superman. Because honestly, I don't know who else they would have gotten to play him, but I feel like it would have been a hard pill to swallow. So I'm so happy I don't have to swallow that pill, because he's back. The man is back. He will no longer portray Geralt on The Witcher, but we will get to see him once again as Superman, and I couldn't be more happy about it. I'd love to hear what you guys think. There's still no announcement on what future movies are going to be. Is there going to be a Man of Steel 2? Is there going to be what's the plot going to be? What's the plans for the DCEU, if there even really is one, going forward? We don't know. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think in terms of your theories. What do you think? What would you like to see from the future of the DC film universe? And how do you feel about the return of Henry Cavill? Do you agree with me? Are you happy about it? Or were you ready to have someone else in the role? Were you over the Henry Cavill? Maybe you never liked Henry Cavill. I want to talk about it. Let me know in the comments below, or if you're listening in podcast form, hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, and let me know, man, because I love to talk about this stuff. I will hit you back. Just send me a message over there or comment on one of my posts. I'm always willing to talk geek culture, pop culture, all the fun stuff. So yes, hit me up wherever you like. Let's talk about it. Henry Cavill is back. Superman returns. All right, if you enjoyed this video or podcast, Like it, share it, all that good stuff. But most of all, subscribe to the channel, because that's what I do here. Subscribe or favorite or follow the podcast, because this is the sort of thing that I do. And if you do decide to stick around and subscribe, favorite, or follow, then I will talk to you again very soon. Thanks.